Hey, what's up? It's Frank here. And if you're new to the stream or you're new to the show, if you will, my name is Frank Lavinia, and you can catch me at the following URLs: franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. The Impact Quantum podcast will be back soon, and there will be an episode of Data Driven coming out tomorrow, a new one. And just wanted to update folks on a new set of experiments that I'm cooking up. This was actually inspired by the fact that the new house we sit on top of a hill, and the other day the trash was blown all over the yard. And why am I talking about this? Well, ultimately, this got me thinking about kind of wind power. And if you're used to kind of thinking about wind power as these large, and I'll say it, unsightly turbines that you see, oops, like on top of the hills and kind of generally making nature ugly. Um, I know that's not a popular opinion in in some crowds, but I said it, and there it is. I stand by it. Um, so that got me thinking, and I started looking around, and there's a whole bunch of new kind of high efficiency wind turbines that kind of are not so obnoxious and a lot smaller. And what I like about this design here is it looks like you could pick up the wind from any direction. So um, my youngest saw me playing around with this, or at least searching around for it and talking about, um, maybe creating some wind turbine energy. And he's like, "Oh, maybe I should do that for a science project," because I was trying to get him to do a science project. And that led me to buy this toy kit. And so far, I'm happy with the toy kit. It's pretty cool. Pretty easy to build the wind turbine. It comes with a little car. Oh, they don't show it. Comes with a little car, and basically, oh, there it is. Basically, what you do is you charge a double A. Let's see if I can get a better picture of it. Inside the part that is here, that it basically turns a crank. The wind turns a crank, and it can charge a double A battery. And that double A battery can then be taken out, and the whole crank and turbine and engine you can put wheels on it, and it kind of goes along. So I actually have this in my yard now, and I've noticed a couple of things. One, um, if you look at the pictures here, it's about this tall. Not a lot of wind at that level, even in this yard, and it doesn't really turn unless the wind's really going. When I put it on the back deck and you can kind of hold it up so it gets the advantage of the height from being on the deck and the wind, it goes like crazy. Um, it is an interesting project, though. It's interesting science project. If you look here at what the wind turbine costs on Amazon, it's $500. Says it can do 1.5 kilowatts. Um, I wanted to just do some tests. So the science project was kind of an excuse to buy this, really, and get something out of it. It's a pretty cool setup, though. If you want to teach kids about wind power, it's really cool. It's just a cool thing to play around with. Um, I wouldn't build anything like permanent with it. What I really would like to do ultimately is get kind of my office and the extra computers and extra electrical load I have with all these monitors, um, using renewables, right? Because I just think be a fun experiment in terms of demand. It's certainly way less than doing a whole house. I don't have to think about a grid tie system, that sort of thing, which is way beyond one, my licensing. I don't have a license, and two, way beyond my knowledge. It'd be kind of cool to experiment with that. This, if you've been with the Frank's World channel and all that stuff long enough, you know that I built out a solar generator, and that's still in the back. It's just not connected to anything. So it'd just be a fun experiment to test out, because uh, when the sun's not shining, it's either because it's a storm or it's night, tends to be windier, right? So it'd be a good kind of backup source for power. So what I really want to build is kind of just an experimental kind of hybrid system and see what that does. But just as an experiment, just to play around. And that actually gets me into another thing um, that I have to do a little more research on. But apparently, one of the updates in iOS will basically limit your charging ability based on what they assume is how much of that energy is built on um, how much of that energy is generated by renewables, right? So let me do a search on that now. And I always like to turn off the thing. Um, uh, Wind, iOS, green power setting. I have to go in a few minutes. Um, Here it is. Turn this back on. So this is kind of the thing where it will basically reduce the carbon footprint of your charging your iPhone, which I think is noble, but the mechanics of it is upsetting a lot of people. Um, it basically, here we go. It gets a forecast of future carbon emissions for your local energy grid and attempts to adjust the charging to times on cleaner energy. So I think basically at night, obviously, nobody's producing solar power. So maybe they're going to adjust it to that. Daytime, I'm not exactly sure. I assume it figures out your power based on your location. I'm going to mute that so I'm not inundated with notifications. I assume it does that. So, which is on one hand, I applaud the effort. However, and for now, at least you can turn it off. And speaking of turning off, I really need to get ads to be turned off. One, it's turned on by default, which I don't know if that's the right decision. And you wouldn't necessarily know about it. Okay, kids, this is why ChatGPT is taking over because look at all the notifications I had to dodge just to pull up a notification, just to pull up an article. Ultimately, though, this doesn't take into account people who have, and I realize I am in I'm the exception. I am the edge case. I built my own solar generator. I want to power my devices by wind and solar kind of on a micro scale. Um, that is definitely not the norm, but I think it's very presumptuous to think that you are um, that they would be able to just by location know which power company you use, because there are for most of the cases. Again, it's an edge case, I guess. Depending on what side of the road you're on here in Mount Airy, you're one company or the other. Um, and I would imagine that there's plenty of places where power companies are on the border. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this, but this only um, apparently it's not just see a comment come in. Apparently it's not just iOS. It's there's a setting in Windows 11 too. Again, how do they know? Right? Like how do they know exactly? I think that there's going to be mixed feelings about this. I think it's a good idea in principle, but I think the execution is fraught with concerns, right? And you're going to start, I think, seeing more people kind of put solar panels on their roof. Um, or if you look at kind of these new designs, and this is what really got me excited, right? Just I live in a windy area, but there's new designs of these wind turbines that are not eyesores, right? They are pretty small, about the size of an HVAC unit, and they can generate. Apparently, if you put them in a certain pattern, the interference will help be more efficient. And I don't know. I just think that wind power We all been focused on solar, and solar definitely has a ways to go in order of being efficient. Actually, just saw a YouTube video on basically artificial photosynthesis, which is pretty cool and interesting stuff. What I want to do once the kids' science project is over is basically get some leads and then start collecting data on how much power I'm actually generating from it, right? So, oh, hey, I have a visitor. Yeah, I can help you. Is that, you need me to set that up for you? Okay. All right. So with that, I'll end the stream. Let me know what you think. Have you noticed your iPad, your iDevice, like doing something weird since this update in 16.1 or Windows 11? And what do you think? Do you think that's the right thing to do? And I don't know. And if you have any experience with kind of wholly independent solar kind of systems, let me know. And how do you combine them with wind? Because I saw there's charge controllers and stuff, but I'm not really sure how do I hook up both. So with that, I'm going to end the stream. You have a good day.